Does it ever feel like there's no good partners in your area, especially if you live in a really small town or an area that's more remote and hard to get to? Maybe you're on the apps and you feel like you've seen everybody there, you're cycling through the same people over and over again, and you've come to the conclusion that there's just nobody here for you. Maybe it even feels like the people who you like are already with partners, and the people who like you, you're just not interested in. You may have even considered moving, maybe to a different location or to a bigger city, just so that you can find love. Let me know if this feels like you. And let me know if you're even in a big city and you're feeling like this, like maybe a different city would be the place where you could find real love. Let me know in the comments. Before you think about paying all that money to move and to uproot your whole life, let me see if I can help you here today. And I'm gonna start by sharing some tough love here, because sometimes that's what we need. And I do say this with so much love, because I want you to find the relationship that you're looking for. I want you to take a minute and get really honest with yourself. Does it truly feel like you are the only single person in your small town or in your area who would make a good partner? Just sit with that for a minute. If the answer is yes, keep watching. So here's the tough love here. If you did say yes, you are probably not the only one. There are likely at least a few people who would make good partners for you, who you'd be really happy with. And as I'm saying this, you're probably like, no, there's not. I've already tried. I'm gonna break it down for you here. I'm gonna do some math. Now, I do not like doing math. It stresses me out, but I've done the math for you because it's really important here. And again, my purpose here is to help you find love. So let's break it down. I've got my notes here. So we're gonna do a thought experiment. And in our thought experiment, let's say that you are living in a small town of about 5,000 people. That's a really small town. So we've got 5,000 people in your area. Now, we got to break this down even further, because there's going to be, let's say, about 30% that are too young for you. I'm assuming that you're going to be dating within plus or minus 10 years of your age range. So that automatically takes away about 30% of people on the younger side, and it will take away about 30% of people on the older side. So let's just say that 60% of your small town, those are people who are not going to be eligible for you. So out of that 5,000, that's about 3,000 who are not eligible for you just based on age. So that leaves us with 2,000 people. We're gonna do some more math here, and let's break this down into the people who are already in a relationship, who are already married, or who already have a partner. For the sake of our experiment, let's say that that's 50%, because that is actually the average. Like for the United States, at any given time, about 50% of people are single and 50% of people are in a relationship. So we're gonna cut that 2,000 in half. So that leaves us from our original 2,000 with about 1,000 people. Now, if you're bisexual, this actually opens up your pool a whole lot. But if you're heterosexual, we're gonna break this down even further. And we're going to assume, for our experiment's sake, our thought experiment's sake, that about half of those people are the opposite gender. So that 1,000 is cut now in half into 500 people. So now you know that there are approximately 500 people in your area who are just about right for you. They're not too young, they're not too old, they're within that plus or minus 10 years of age range. Let's continue this thought experiment even further here. I want you to imagine that you're in a room, you're in like this big conference room in your small town with these 500 people. So really picture this, close your eyes, picture yourself in a conference room, and there are 500 people of the gender that you prefer to date, all in this one room at the same time. Does it still feel like in this room with these 500 people that you wouldn't find someone who you're attracted to, who you wouldn't find someone who you're compatible with, that you wouldn't find someone who you could have a good emotional connection with? Not a lot, just a few, maybe 3 or 4, because it only takes one person to have a relationship. So if you're visualizing yourself in this room and now it's starting to feel like, oh yeah, there's probably someone that I can be compatible with, that I would be happy with. You're doing great. If not, if it's still feeling like, no way, I have done it, I have been out there, I have tried it, there is no one for me, if you're still feeling some resistance to this, that, ladies and gentlemen, is a subconscious block. Because I've just shown you, I've actually crunched the numbers, I've done the math, I've just shown you that there are probably more than a few people in your very small town who you could be happy with, who you could be compatible with. But if it's hard for you to see, if you're feeling some resistance to it, if you're feeling like, no, I can't, then that's what we call a subconscious block. And if you move to a different place or a different town or a different city with this subconscious block, the results will likely be the same. There'll be more people, but you'll still have a hard time finding a relationship with someone because this block is there, because you carry it within you. So what is a block? Well, a subconscious block is some resistance or some fear to relationships, to love, and to intimacy. It's a part of you that says no to the idea of relationships, and you wouldn't be able to see it because it's deep in the subconscious, but it is there nonetheless. And it's not your fault, it's not something to judge yourself about. It's from our past, it's from painful experiences, challenging experiences. And the way that we cope with that is we try to protect ourselves. And for most of us, it's not conscious. It would just literally feel like there's no good partners in my area. That's what it would feel like. So we can't actually see the block until we start to dive in there and do the healing work, but we can tell that it's probably there because of the results that you're getting in your dating life. Here's some signs that you likely have a subconscious block. The first one is what I've just been talking about. You are not finding anyone attractive or appealing. It feels like there's no good partners in your area. That's a big sign. Another sign is you've gone through a breakup within the last few years. A lot of us carry around baggage from past relationships, and if we just wait for time to heal everything, yeah, you can move on a little bit, but you're still going to be carrying around a lot of baggage from that relationship. So that's another sign that you could have a subconscious block going on. Another sign is if you've had challenging relationship experiences in your past, but especially your childhood. If we grew up where love was associated with neglect or abuse, a part of you is absolutely going to shut down to the idea of love and relationships. And so in order to open up to that, we've got to do that subconscious work. Another sign that you might have a subconscious block is if you don't find emotionally available partners appealing or attractive. Like if you look back at your dating history and you see, oh, okay, I have pretty much always dated emotionally unavailable partners, that's a sign that you probably have a subconscious block. And especially if the partners who you do find attractive are always unavailable. Another sign that you might have a subconscious block is if you are obsessed with finding the spark. If you're always looking for the spark, chasing the spark, turning down potential good compatible partners because there is no spark. So if these things are happening, there is a high likelihood that there is a subconscious block there. And again, the purpose of that subconscious block is to protect you. It is a misguided attempt at protecting you, but that's its purpose. And usually at the root of that subconscious block is fear. Fear of getting hurt, fear of being abandoned. When you work with the subconscious, when you release the blocks, when you get to the root of that fear and see that you're actually okay, that's when your love life opens way up. That's when you can see the good partners in your area. That's when you find love that's been there the whole time. If this is sounding like you, and you're realizing, yeah, I think I might have a subconscious block, I want you to go to the link in the description here for my Living Free Finding Love program. This is what I do in that program with my clients. I help them to release the subconscious blocks that are keeping them closed off to love and not able to see the good partners in their area. When my clients release those blocks, they find love right where they are. They don't have to move. They actually see people on the apps that they didn't see before, who they weren't open to before. They just swiped right on by them. But again, when we release the blocks, you are now able to let love in and you actually see the world very differently. So before you move, do this subconscious work because I don't want you to waste all that time and all that money moving when you don't really have to. Move because you want to move, not to find love. I'm much more affordable than the moving expenses these days. If you want to learn more about subconscious blocks and how they can affect your dating life, click on this video here. I talk about a subconscious block that I recently discovered and how it was affecting my relationships.